In this video, you'll learn how to enter and pay bills in QuickBooks Desktop. Step 1. Entering a bill.
QuickBooks can help you keep track of the bills that you need to pay. From the home screen, you'll click Enter Bills. In the vendor field, you can begin typing the vendor that your bill is from, or you can use the drop-down arrow to select a vendor from your existing list. You can also add a new vendor from here if you need. When you tab to the Date field, you'll enter the date of the bill. This date will be used automatically by QuickBooks based on the terms you've set for that vendor to determine the due date of that bill. You can also change the terms of the bill by selecting the drop-down menu or adding new. If you select a term that has a discount date, QuickBooks will also use this date that you've entered for the bill to populate the discount date to know that if you pay before that date, you'll receive the discount. In your reference field, you can type the invoice number from the vendor. In the amount due field, type the amount due, and you'll notice that it automatically populates below as well. In your memo field, you can type the account number that you have with that vendor. This information will print on any check when you go to pay this bill later in the memo field. This memo below prints on any reports that you print from QuickBooks. In the expenses field, you select the expense account related to that bill. You'll notice this one populated automatically based on the last time we used this vendor. But you can also select the drop-down menu to see your other expense accounts, or you can scroll to the top of that list to add a new expense account if needed. If you continue past the memo field to the customer job column, this is for any jobs that you might be tracking in job costing for QuickBooks. You can select the drop-down arrow to find the job that this particular expense relates to. In this example, I'll pick the family room for Krista H. And then the column here for billable is if you're billing it back to that client. So this expense would be billed back to her. If you are not billing it back to the client, but you still want to track that that expense is related to that particular job, you just unclick the check mark in that column. The last column is the class column. If you have class tracking set up in your QuickBooks preferences, then you'll notice this column appear. If you don't have this column here, it's likely you don't have that class track set up in your QuickBooks yet. In this example, the drop-down menu gives us 3 classes that are being tracked for this company, or you can add a new class. For this one, I'll select Remodel. Now that you have your bill filled out, you can save and close below. Because we changed the terms for this vendor, QuickBooks will give us a reminder, is this something you want to keep these terms always for this vendor, or was this a one-time only change? For this example, we'll click yes and keep this for our vendor.
Step 2. Paying a bill.
When it comes time to pay your bills, from the home page, you'll select Pay Bills. One of the common mistakes we see clients make is using the write checks to pay their bills. The problem in QuickBooks is write checks will not show your bill as marked paid, and instead it will duplicate the expense. So in order to properly mark bills as paid, use the Pay Bills feature. On this screen, you'll see all of your bills that are due, and they're sorted based on due date. You can also filter by a particular vendor if you're looking to isolate a long list. In this column, you check box any of the bills that you're planning to pay. Below, you can go to that bill to review what the contents of that bill are. You can also set a discount if you're paying before the discount due date. And you can apply any credits that you have on file for that vendor, and they will automatically show here so you know that they're available. If you select a credit memo for a vendor, you'll see that amount due reduced in the credit column, and the remaining amount will change in the far right amount to pay column. Below, you'll select the date that you're paying your bills. In the next field for the method of payment, you'll select which method you're using to pay those bills. You can select credit card to mark in QuickBooks that you've paid those bills via credit card, or if you're recording online bank payments that you may have made for those bills. For this example, we'll stick with the check method. If you've handwritten your checks and you're just recording them in QuickBooks, you'll select to assign the check number. If you are using check stock, then you would click to be printed. In the account field, you want to be careful that you've selected the correct account that you're paying your bills from. If you have multiple checking accounts or bank accounts that you need to select from, use the drop-down arrow to find all of the bank accounts that are listed in your QuickBooks file. You'll also notice below that the ending balance for the account that you've selected is reflected here. This will help you as you're making decisions and paying bills. Now you're ready to pay selected bills. So you click in the far bottom right corner. This screen shows you a summary of all the bills that you've selected to pay. If you have a long list of bills that you've paid, there will be a scroll bar here that you can scroll up and down to review those bills. You can select to pay bills, pay more bills, or print checks. Here again, I recommend that you confirm the appropriate checking account has been selected, and then look at your check stock for the first number that we'll be printing and enter that here. If you're printing all of these payments, you'll have these checked off. If you'd only like to print one at the time, you can unselect as needed. Click OK. Here you'll select the printer that your check stock's in and the type of check stock that you have. Then you click Print. Next, you'll be taken to a confirmation screen. It will show you all the checks that have been printed. If you need to reprint a check for any reason, you would check
Call
that here, and it will let you reprint.
2900 to learn more about our
And that's how you
QuickBooks
pay your
trainings
bills in
and
QuickBooks.
services.